proposed ordinance came to us in response to these impromptu, spontaneous demonstrations, parades, whatever you may call them, that occurred several years ago and occurred multiple times. Before I go on, I must say that the committee that worked on this and the legal staff that worked on this do need to be commended. This is a very thorny issue, very difficult. They toiled through many other side issues, many lengthy and probably somewhat boring and protracted meetings, and reams of legal research. The problem, though, is that the ordinance doesn't regulate, I think, the very issue that brought this before us. It does not regulate parades it does not regulate parades unless they result from some type of prior planning. It even goes beyond parades to public assemblies that result from prior planning, which is not an issue, I think, that brought this issue before us. It affects much more than what brought this issue before us without addressing the initial problem. I think to sit on this dais as a council person and to assure those members of the public that spoke here tonight in favor of this ordinance, that this ordinance will address, regulate, limit, or impact the concerns that brought this ordinance before us that they raised tonight, for me it would be misleading, because it doesn't address those. In prior committee meetings, our deputy chief, our corporation counsel have stated that the impromptu parades, those that lack prior planning, would not be covered by this ordinance. They're expressly exempt. And they must be. You can't regulate something that someone is not engaging in prior planning in order to come up with a plan to present to the city. With regard to the fines, the city's attorney stated at previous committee meetings that the fines could not be imposed on just anyone who participated, but that it would have to be somebody who knew that the event required a permit, and secondly, participated knowing that no permit was obtained, which is very difficult for those who sort of spill onto the streets and join a march. In fact, it would probably be the organizing committee only that could be fined. And with regard to the amount of the fines, the city is limited by the state. If we wanted to impose fines of $1,000 or $2,000 to stop certain conduct, we're very limited. There's state statute which limits city imposed fines to approximately $100 for general safety, health, and welfare. We'd have to change state law, and we've tried in the past, and the mayor has tried in the past, and those have been blocked at the state level. The main problem impacting our residents is not with 25 people, as this ordinance would cover, or 50 people, or 75, but with hundreds of people blocking our roads, blocking our sidewalks, blocking intersections, blocking driveways, which the deputy chief in the past, I think the police chief stated here tonight, is currently a violation of our existing traffic laws, both at the state level and the local level, as well as a bunch of other health, safety, and welfare laws that we have on the books. While even some impromptu parades may have, as we discussed at our committee meeting, some prior planning, some discussion. If the issue came up as if we're watching a game and it's a playoff game and there's a bunch of people saying, hey, if the Sox win, we're going to go run down Main Street. And we're going to beep our horns.
Maybe not the Sox.
Well, based on this season so far. But, okay, I was born in Boston. That being said, but simply as a minor discussion is not prior planning under state case law. Prior planning to sort of incur the imposition of the regulation of government requires a substantial step to the execution of what you plan to do. So talking at a bar about getting together after the game would not make it prior planning which would subject us to the ordinance, unfortunately. So it wouldn't cover that conduct. Beyond that, though, this ordinance will impose restrictions, I think, on those who obey the law currently, while expressly exempting, as it must under the law, those who break our laws, who break our social compact of common decency to their neighbors, and should be fined, punished, and prosecuted under existing laws. I also think the ordinance goes far beyond regulating parades. For those who may not know, it regulates public assemblies, not just on streets and sidewalks, but in public parks and other places that are owned by the city of Danbury, possibly the state, which will possibly be exempted. 25 people or more gathering in a public place doesn't seem to be the problem. It seems to be many more people gathering on our streets and sidewalks.